Today I'm talking about one of the best cartoon series in the world. Well, at least in my book. And specifically I'm going to talk about its two Commodore 64 games. He's the greatest. He's fantastic. Whenever there's danger, he'll be there. Danger Mouse.
RetroKork.
Okay, for this we have to get back quite a bit, namely to the Germany of the 1980s. You see, back then we had a kids' TV show, which was pretty much a variety show of sorts, as it had live action and cartoon short films. It originally was called Montagsspaß, which literally means Monday's fun. Then it was called Spaß am Montag, fun on Monday, and ultimately it was pretty much all the time Spaß am Dienstag, fun on Tuesday, which is, by the way, the part that I remember the most, because it had, it had pretty much everything awesome. It had a human host, and it had a computer-generated one, voiced of course by a human. It was a so-called Wuzlon, going by the name of Zini. And it has been during that show that I was introduced to Danger Mouse. And as a kid, I was hooked, just like this. Nowadays, looking back at it, yeah... at least the German dub is a bit dated. I've watched an episode of the English original and, yeah, much better. Holds up much better than the German dub, which often referred to current events too. Plus, children's TV, and we all know how children's TV is often perceived. Well, Danger Mouse is, it's basically a parody of the super spy genre, namely the James Bond movies and the live-action series Super Spy. And it has some criticism of then current-day events thrown in, but to be honest, it seems this is more prevalent on the German dub than it is on the original. But since I'm not a TV critic, and this show is where I talk about old Commodore 64 games as of now, well, let's dive into the world of Danger Mouse in his first endeavor on the Commodore 64, Danger Mouse in the Black Forest Chateau. Danger Mouse in the Black Forest Chateau from 1984 is a choose-your-own-adventure styled adventure game. You get to pick one out of multiple options, and the game then progresses, or doesn't, according to your choices. Now, the good thing is that you, as the white mouse with the eye patch, the white wonder, Danger Mouse himself, you apparently can't die. That and the artwork isn't really bad. The bad part, however, is that the game has no animation. It does not really allow exploration of the environment, and there's no music whatsoever. However, this game, yeah, it could be good for young kids that are just learning how to play this kind of games, though sometimes it can be a bit frustrating even for its relatively low difficulty. But in the same year, Danger Mouse was starring in a completely different game, Danger Mouse in Double Trouble. Here, the plot is that Baron Silas Greenback intends to construct an android Danger Mouse, and you have to stop him. The game offers two difficulty settings, which is awesome. Trainee Secret Agent, also known as Easy, and Secret Agent Extraordinaire, also known as Difficult. The game itself is separated into 3 levels, or episodes as the game likes to call them. The first one is a side-scrolling section in which you have to adapt your in-aero car jukebox to repel robots that are out to get you. On easy modes, the system starts out adapting automatically, though as things get harder, you will have to select the correct opponent in front of your car manually. If you encounter a magenta-colored enemy, that's actually Agent 57, who is going to help you. You only switch lanes in this flight by going up and down. This level is a bit like a side-scrolling shooter, but without the boss fight, because all you have to do is to survive the distance you have to go until you reach the jungle. There's also a difficulty setting, so if you win, the more enemies you beat, the easier the next levels become. The next level has Danger Mouse on foot. You try to make it through the thick of the jungle to the secret location of the dastardly devious Greenback. This level reminds me most of games like Pitfall or the relatively obscure Atari 2600 game Bobby Goes to Home, as you try to pass at least 2 screens. One where you have to skip over ponds using the crocodiles that swim within these ponds as stepping stones, and one where you have to avoid pumas and make it to the other side. The third level surely is the strangest, as you stand opposite to Greenback while pushing buttons to seize controls over the android. By playing the strangest kind of 2-player anti-snake? I mean, you and Greenback, you're using a row of 4 buttons each, and on the point in the grid where your button lines meet, you place an electric charge of some kind. You and Greenback both are using a row of 4 buttons each, and on the point in the grid where your buttons lines meet, you place an electric charge of some kind. If this charge is on the snake already, it loses 1 light and gets shorter. If you miss, you drop a power of some sort for the snake, allowing it to extend its length again. Fortunately, the snake has a rather obvious pattern that it follows, so it's not too difficult to complete this level. Destroy the android and the game is over. Well, you get to start it anew, and a bit more difficult this time. All of the levels only have sound effects and no music going on, even though at least in the third level, as it's the final showdown, it would have been the perfect place to play the Danger Mouse theme, which they use for the intro and which is currently running on constant repeat in the background now. Aside from that, the game it's a mixed bag. To be perfectly honest, it's 3 minigames put together to make 1 full game, but there's not much of a flow between the minigames. They're hardly feeling connected to each other. Here, cutscenes, even static ones, would have helped bringing the story together. But at least it has music and sounds, something that the adventure game lacked. So that's that, and that's it for this episode of RetroKork.
He's the greatest, he's fantastic. Wherever there is danger, he'll be there. He's the ace, he's amazing. He's the strongest, he's the quickest, he's the best. Danger Mouse, Danger Mouse, Danger Mouse.
Well, with danger modes being a thing I passed now, I will take on another cartoon franchise. One that pretty much everyone knows of. Transformers. Yes, there were Transformers games for the Commodore 64.